Thank you. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight. Thank you for taking a night off of doom scrolling through social media and the news, slowly filling yourselves with existential dread to come and see a comedy show. Because it is rough out there. If you're paying attention to what's going on in the world, it is rough. One of the things that helps me get through how rough it is out there, legal weed. Right? That's great. Legal weed. They legalized that in 2018, and then like a year later, the pandemic happened. Well-timed. That was well-timed. Right? Weed's legal now. Stay inside. All right. You drive a hard bargain, government. I'll give it a shot. I'm glad weed's legal, right? I'm glad no one's gonna get arrested or go to jail for weed anymore. I think that's a great thing. It's actually even crazy to think about that like 6 years ago, it was illegal to chill out after work. So it's great that it's legal. It's great no one's gonna go to jail anymore. But I also don't understand why it was a huge campaign promise from Justin Trudeau. Right? Like, vote for me and I'll legalize weed. Like, oh, thank you, federal government, for legalizing the elusive marijuana. Couldn't find it anywhere before you guys got on the case. Was anybody having trouble getting high in this country one day in your lives? I, personally, would like to get less high. And now every second store I walk by is like, hey, come on in. It tastes like Skittles now. Come on in. And then they do this thing, when you go in and you buy your weed, that my dealer never used to do. They add tax to it. My dealer never used to do that. And they'll say, look, you're going to pay, taxes on your weed now, but you're going to see those weed tax dollars on the streets. You're going to see those legal weed tax dollars back in the community. Have you guys seen one of your legal weed tax dollars? Fill a pothole, build a hospital, do anything productive? No, I have no idea where that money's going. At least when I used to go to my dealer's house, I could see where the money was going. I'd walk in and be like, oh, we bought another spider. Spider money, that's what I'm providing him with. That's almost wholesome. Pandemic was rough. It was rough on all of us. You know when I knew that Canada, we didn't have a handle on the pandemic anymore? When I knew it was off the rails, is the trucker convoy. That was the moment I knew we don't have this anymore. All right, the trucker convoy was crazy. And I don't care where you stand on the trucker convoy. Whether you support it, you're against it, it doesn't matter. We can all agree the situation was not handled well. If you paid any attention to the Emergencies Act inquiry after it happened, everybody who was supposed to know what to do didn't. Everybody who testified was like, well, I thought somebody else was taking care of it, to be honest with you. And it seemed that way at the time, too. Right? It really, really seemed that way at the time because the truckers announced that they were coming, right? It didn't sneak up on anyone who should have known what was going on. They posted it to fucking Facebook, and then they literally drove across the goddamn country. It was a protest that you could see from space. And like, we're coming to Ottawa, there's gonna be thousands of us, you can't ignore us, you have to take us seriously. And Doug Ford was like, well, I think I'll go to the cottage. And Justin Trudeau was like, oh shit, I got COVID, what are the chances? What a coincidence, am I right, guys? Well, I gotta stay inside because of the rules that I made. And then the truckers were there in Ottawa drinking, partying, protesting for 10 days in hot tubs and shit. And finally, Justin Trudeau was like, that's enough! I've tried nothing and that didn't work. I better call the Emergencies Act. So I'm the only person with Justin Trudeau called the Emergencies Act that was like, hold up a second. We had a fucking Emergencies Act this entire time? Nothing in the last 2 years seemed like an emergency to you? You told me every time I left the house I was killing all of the grandparents. Not an emergency, apparently. 6 people in Ottawa are like, well, the honking is getting quite loud. Oh, well, shit, let's freeze some bank accounts then, I guess. No, the only reason why Justin Trudeau called the Emergencies Act was because the truckers went to Ottawa, and Justin Trudeau lives in Ottawa. If the truckers had to come to Louisbourg, they'd still fucking be here. But one thing I found very off-putting over the last few years is how socially acceptable it's become to believe conspiracy theories. It's crazy. It's crazy that you can believe that shit and then still keep your pension. Like, there's just no repercussions anymore. Like, I grew up in the 90s. I was a kid in the 90s. If you believe in conspiracy theories in the 90s, you didn't have a job and people who loved you. You stood on a street corner screaming crazy shit, and everybody walked around you like, don't look him in the eyes, he's nuts. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. The internet came out. That's what happened, and they all found each other. Because back in the 90s, that guy in that street corner didn't know that there was a million other guys on a million other street corners. He thought he was the only one. Then the internet comes out, they all find each other, one of them does a head count, and he's like, holy shit, there's so many of us now. They can't possibly divorce and fire us all. Back to society, guys, come on, let's go. No, take off your tinfoil hats, we're real estate agents now. Thing is, I like conspiracy theories. I enjoy them, I think they're funny. It's free entertainment. If you know somebody who believes conspiracy theories, they start going into one, don't get mad, right? Just sit back, pour a drink, let them go. It's gonna be nuts, and they never stop. Right? Because you can't just believe one, you have to believe them all. One of my favorite conspiracy theories is the chemtrail conspiracy theory. If you don't know what that one is, it's when the planes are flying overhead, right? You see the mists coming out of the back of the plane. There's people who see that and go, that's chemicals. They're spraying us with chemicals. Because they don't understand thermodynamics, right? Which I also don't understand. But I know that it's a hot engine in cold air, and that's good enough for me. I don't need to dig in any deeper. They see, it's chemicals. They're spraying us with chemicals. And then you have to ask, why? Why would they spray us with chemicals? They're spraying us with chemicals to make us gay. Like, dude, if you want to suck a dick, just suck a dick. It's 2024. You don't have to blame it on the planes. I understand that your wife caught you with a dick in your mouth and you had to think fast. Right? Like, no, honey. Blah, blah. Oh, I hate dick. No. It's the planes, of course. It's the only logical explanation, sweetheart. Then there's the flat earth conspiracy theory. That's a good one. There's full-grown adults who think the world is flat. What an indictment on our education system. That should be the last question they ask you before they hand you your high school diploma. Just like, all right, we'll give it to you. 1 second, though. Do you think the world is flat? Uh-huh. Well, back to grade 8, then. Because we can't have you walking around out there saying that shit. That's nuts. And the thing about the flat earth conspiracy theory, it misses the key part of what makes a good conspiracy theory. A good conspiracy theory needs a reason why the government's lying to you. They have to be lying to you to get away with something. What are they getting away with? By telling you the world is round. If NASA came out tomorrow and was like, by the way, guys, we were fucking with you. The world actually is flat. You'd be like, oh, okay, well, I still have to go to work, right? Like, yes, of course, nothing changes. We just said it was round, got in too deep, here we are. Of course it's flat. Look at it. It looks so flat out there. Popular conspiracy theory is that 9/11 was an inside job. There's people who believe that. Right? And the people who believe that 9/11 was an inside job at least have a follow-up to questions you ask. Right? Like if somebody says like, oh, I think 9/11 was an inside job. Why? Well, I think the US used it as an excuse to invade Iraq. You're like, well, that's bullshit. But at least you got something there. There's some meat on the bones. We could talk about that. Somebody's like, well, I think the world's flat. Why? Because fuck you, it's flat, that's why. Because they want you to buy globes because they're more expensive. Maps are cheaper, it's a big globe. Wake up, you fucking sheep. Very frustrating thing about the world that we live in today is that everybody is political now. Everybody is interested in politics. That didn't always used to be the case, and I think it was a better world when it wasn't. It's very annoying how invested in politics people are because they love to talk about politics, but what they love to do is fight about politics. They love to ruin Thanksgiving dinners. They know just enough to piss off their uncle. And people love to argue about it, especially online. That's where people love to argue about politics. People will start fights deliberately. They're just bored for some reason. They're like, let's start a fight. Do you ever see somebody post something like this on Facebook? They'll post like, if you're this, or this, then just unfriend me now. And it's always like an increasing level of bullshit, right? It's always like, if you're a Republican, a Trump supporter, or a Nazi, then just unfriend me now. Like, look, I'm none of those things, but can I also unfriend you? You seem like a fucking pill. Also, it's your Facebook page. How many Nazis are you friends with that you're scrolling through like, shit, another Nazi? I am so bad at Facebook. And then inevitably somebody will jump on to that thread to fight with them and argue with them. And I don't know why. Why does anybody have an online fight? We've all seen them. It's great to be a third party watching, right? But has anybody seen a fight unfold on Facebook and thought, what a bunch of cool guys? No, it's sad. It's sad to watch. And you just watch it and it goes for hours and all these fights. Why do they do it to themselves? It doesn't go anywhere. Has anybody seen a fight that's gone back hundreds of comments over hours, people yelling the most dehumanizing shit they possibly can at each other? Have you ever seen one of those fights end with both people going, well, holy shit. I really think we got to the bottom of this one. What a productive use of my time. No, it just goes on for hours and hours and hours, and then it stops dead. And you're like, what happened there, fellas? I thought you were fighting for the sake of human civilization. Well, I was, but then my Uber Eats came and I jerked off, so. I got sleepy. And the people who usually get involved in the Facebook fights, they're always middle-aged guys, right? It's always middle-aged guys. Probably have one or two on your Facebook friend list, and you see in your feed they pop up in like 3 different fights a day. But the thing is, it's their personal Facebook page, so it's not just their Facebook fights that you see. Then it's all their personal shit. So then they'll fight, and then the next post will be them like, took the kids to the beach. Like, don't show me that. Don't show me that. I don't need to know that there's people depending on you. Because it makes me feel sad. I wonder what it's like to be that guy's kid. It can't be good. Right? I just picture it just like, Daddy, can you read me a story? Like, sorry, sweetheart, some guy dad barely knew in high school just said he doesn't know shit about NAFTA, so dad's got to hop on there and call him a pinko commie fuckwad. You know how it goes. Everybody's political. Everything is political. We can't get away from it. Sesame Street got political. Right? During the pandemic, Sesame Street got political. They got Big Bird vaccinated. Which, by the way, isn't actually political. I'm tired of medicine being deemed political, but we made it. We fucking managed to do it. They made it political, right? And they're like, all the right-wingers were losing their mind, all the Republicans tweeting about it. Stop putting politics in our kids' shows. Like, easy. It's not politics. It's a fucking vaccine. It's not an episode of Sesame Street where Big Bird had to drive 2 states over to get an abortion. Calm the fuck down. And did you ever notice people don't want politics in their kid shows? They don't want it in their kid shows, but only when it's not their politics. That's when they do not want politics in their kid shows. Republicans wouldn't mind. If that had been an episode of Sesame Street with Elmo defending the stand your ground law, Republicans would have loved that shit. Just Elmo always keeps one in the chamber. That's good, Elmo. It's smart. You never know who's gonna roll up, Elmo. I mean, Jesus Christ, in the last year, we've made drag queens political. How the fuck do we manage to do that? They're the least political group of people out there. I've been to drag shows. All they do is lip sync Lady Gaga and call everyone bitches. How are we getting politics in there? But it's the fight about drag shows, drag queen story hour, drag shows for kids. That's what it be. And I hate this argument so much because it's just polarizing and it's basically only two sides having the argument while all of us in the middle are like, what the fuck, guys? Because the right wing is dead wrong. The right wing is dead wrong in their criticism of the drag shows or drag queen story hour for kids. The right wing is just like, well, we can't let drag queens around our kids because then they'll try to fuck our kids. I hate to break it to you, way easier ways to fuck your kids. No one is putting in that level of effort. No one's taping their balls up and climbing into a princess dress like, this kid better be fucking worth it. They still come for candy. But the left wing is dead wrong too, because they're not even just talking about like the drag shows for kids. They're not even just saying like it's neutral. They're like, no, it's important. Like it's a fucking civil rights issue or something. Right? It's not. Honestly, the drag queen story hour drag shows for kids is such a great left wing move. It seems so perfectly designed to piss off conservatives that it had to be created in a lab, right? Like there's just a bunch of left-wingers sitting around just like, hey, we got to come up with some ideas on how to piss off the Republicans today. Just throw out some ideas, guys. No bad ideas. Let's see what we got. Well, you know, drag queens. Yeah, Jerry, yeah. Well, how about we get them to perform for kids? Jerry, that's fucking brilliant. Take the rest of the goddamn week off. They'll lose their shit. That's fucking nuts. No one would think to do that. This is what the left loves to do. They love to bring out a brand new idea that's different. And then when you are like, I don't know, they're like, fuck you, bigot. Like 10 years ago, if you were like, I don't know if drag queens should perform for children, people would be like, yeah, of course not. Why would you bring that up unprompted? And they don't have a good defense. You can tell when the left wing doesn't have a good defense for something they're trying to do because they always are like, well, why do you even care? Because it's weird. It's a weird thing to do, and I know I can feel a little bit of people being uncomfortable. Don't worry, I'm saying it so you don't have to. It's adult entertainment. We know that because it was developed for adults, and it's brand new that they're trying to make it for kids. You wouldn't hire an old jazz band to come in and play for the kids, would you? You know why? Because I don't think the kids would appreciate the notes that aren't being played. And honestly, it's so obviously a political issue because no one's asking the kids what they fucking want. Right? If you ask the kids what they want for entertainment, you're going to get a lot of Spider-Mans, Batmans. You're not going to get a lot of kids standing up being like, I would love to see international drag sensation Lucille Balls, please. But I don't know what the kids want either. I don't even pretend to know what they want. You know when I first realized I lost touch with the youth and I didn't understand them? When I saw kids with fidget spinners. That was my first official old man moment. Right? I was just like, look at these kids with their dumb shit. Get a haircut, you know, and just hated fidget spinners. But then I thought about them for a minute. Thought, you know what? I'm wrong. I'm dead wrong on this. These inventions are great. This is the best thing we've ever invented. Just the name fidget spinner, it's perfect. Sums up where we are in society so perfectly. Right? Just like, hey, you're riddled with anxiety. Spin this bullshit. We got nothing for you. We're not even trying anymore. Here's some shit to spin until everything goes dark. Just have that sudden creepy feeling of your own mortality? Spin that shit. Just read an article on climate change titled Past the Point of No Return? Spin that shit. Just have your second kid with your high school sweetheart and realize, fuck, I am gay. Spin that shit. Spin away the gay. Which of course you can't do. You can't spin away the gay. No one ever said you could until right now. No one's pushing that agenda by any means, but people do think you can pray away the gay. There's people who believe in gay conversion through prayer, right? You can pray away the gay, they say. It's not a foolproof system. Like, oh, my kid thinks he's gay. I'm going to make him not gay. How are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to send him to a camp with a bunch of other kids who think they're gay. That ought to pound the gay right out of him, I'm pretty sure. I don't know much about homosexuals, but what I do know is I don't think they like to spend a lot of time together in the heat. Of course, no one would ever believe that you could pray away the gay if we could have proper sex ed, right? Which we've never had. Not one fucking version of it. It was shit when I was growing up, right? Now I don't know what they're doing. Feels like it's going like the other direction. We can never just sit in the middle on something. It's always nuts, right? The conservative way of looking at sex ed was just don't teach them. Maybe they won't fuck. When I was a kid, it was shit, right? Sex ed in school was like an old man came to the front of the room with a fresh shaving cut on his face. And he was just like, you're going to get herpes, now go to social studies. And that was it. Now they're like, here's how you blow someone. Wasn't there something in the middle that we missed? Wasn't there? I feel like you really took a leap on that one. I still really don't understand the parents, though, who don't want their kids taught any sex ed at all. Like, I find that really weird. I think the parents that don't want their kids taught any sex ed don't realize that the ed part stands for education. It's going to be a trained professional coming in to teach your children. It's not going to be some creepy weirdo named Ed who walks into a room full of kids with his hand in his pants like, I'm sex ed. And then just turns on porn like, there you go, kids. It's a man loving a woman right there. And that's the second man coming in to love the same woman. They are loving her 6 ways from Sunday, I'll tell you that much. A lot of love, kids. Why not teach your kids about sex? Because if you don't let a teacher teach your kids about sex, then you have to teach your kids about sex. And no parent wants to have that conversation with their kids. If somebody's willing to jump on their grenade for you, let them do it. Because if you don't do it and you don't let a teacher do it, then it's just going to be their older brother who's like, smell my fingers, right? That's it. You get to control the quality of information. Because my dad gave me the sex talk when I was a kid, and it was shit. It was one of the worst ones on record. The only thing I can give him credit for is when he chose to do it. We were driving home from somewhere, and we were almost home. Brilliant. He had an end game. There was not a lot of room for follow-up questions. And he started out the sex talk with, so Nick, you know what sex is, right? No. I'm a child. He's like, shit, all right. Well, sex is when a man puts his penis into a woman's vagina. And then I went, ugh. And then we pulled into the driveway. That was it. End of sex talk. That's all I got. He's like, yeah, penis goes in the vagina. I gave him the basics. Not going to tell him that every now and again she's going to want to get flipped over. He'll figure that shit out on his own. He'll be on top. She'll look bored. He'll flip her over, tug her hair, call her a whore. I'm not going to tell him that now. He's a kid, for Christ's sake. That's advanced shit. Because why not teach sex ed? Why not teach it? Everybody here fucks. Everybody wants to fuck. Why are we hiding it? Like, just teach proper sex ed. Because if we had proper sex ed in schools, it would be the most useful class any of us ever took. Think of all the useless shit that you learned in school. I never practically used trigonometry one day in my life. My dick has come in handy lots of times. Maybe teach me about my dick. So the first time I jerk off, I'm not like, that's not pee, I'm dying. So I am a millennial, and I know that some people don't think that makes sense by looking at me. Because everybody thinks of millennials as the young people, but a lot of us are in our 40s now. Yeah, and we're the ones that are in our 40s. They had to separate us from the younger millennials. Where this is the only time that they've ever done this with a generation, where they've had to be like, this generation is not the same from the beginning to the end. So I was born in 1982. Anybody born between 1980 and 1985 is not just a regular millennial. They are geriatric millennials. Which at first pissed me off. But then I was like, no, you know what? We do need to be separated. It makes sense. You wear it like a badge of honor. Because I don't want to be like anything like anybody born after 1985. I don't like any of you. I think you're all full of shit. No, but this is the thing that I have a problem with like the younger generation, the younger millennials, and then Gen Z. They're like the most activist generation that's ever existed. And they have the least to fight for. I mean, they have shit to fight for, like the fact that they'll never be able to retire or own a home. But they don't give a shit about that. They give a shit about stuff that doesn't matter to them or stuff that we solved that they don't think is solved. Right? You see the young Gen Zers, young millennials, they're out there like, this is the most racist time we've ever lived in. Like, no, not even kinda. Not by any fucking metric is that true. Right? But now we listen to them because they hashtag it properly or whatever. So we give a shit. I was 20 and said dumb shit. Nobody gave a fuck. Now we give a shit about what these people say, and now everybody's so race obsessed. Everybody's talking about how not racist they are and how anti-racist. This new phrase they came up, you're anti-racist. It's not good enough to just be not racist. You have to be anti-racist. So now everybody's talking online, virtue signaling about not being racist, right? And then you see people do it in person. I've seen people put anti-racism signs in their front lawn to prove they're not racist. Remember, when we just kind of assumed people weren't racist? And then when they did racist shit, we were like, that guy's racist. Fuck that guy. Now people are, I got a sign. I got the sign. I'm good. I'm one of the good ones, guys. And I know when somebody puts up a sign like that, an anti-racism sign in the front lawn, I know what they're thinking. They're thinking, people are going to walk by my house and think, a good person lives there. It's not what I think when I walk by somebody who has that sign in their front lawn. The first thing I think if I walk by somebody's house and they have an anti-racism sign in their front lawn is, what racist shit did you do that you felt you had to put that sign up? Like, fuck, I lost it on my gardener last week. Everybody saw it. Jesus Christ, I better put up a sign, I guess. Well, I'll get him to put up the sign, obviously. He knows where the gloves are, you know. Somebody in my neighborhood has one of those signs up, has an anti-racism sign. It's a big rainbow handprint with a BLM logo on it. And on the sign it says, hate doesn't live here. And every time I walk by that house, I fill up with more and more hate. I hate those people. The arrogance to be like, we've overcome the human emotion of hate over here. We're all transcending into beams of light, thank you very much. And nobody else in the neighborhood has that sign. So if you're walking around that neighborhood, you're like, look at all these hate-filled pricks. Thank God for the bastion of peace and love at the end of the street. I also hate to break it to you, anybody can put that sign up. It's not proof that you're not racist. There's no governing body or oversight committee who does rigorous testing to find out who the not racist people are and then gives them a sign. You're not going to get a knock on your door one day and so you're like, hey, we saw that you changed your profile picture to a black square. Thanks for doing the hard work. Here's your sign. Like, nope, you can just go down to Staples, print that sign out, put it right in your front lawn. Like, no hate in this goddamn house. Oh, no Jews either, by the way. No hater Jews. We've gotten better at some things, though, right? We've improved the world in a lot of ways. One thing we got better at, we started giving a shit about people's mental health. Because before, we just didn't. Which is crazy, that for all of human civilization, we just didn't give a fuck. And then all of a sudden, 3 years ago, they were like, the brain's kind of important, I think. If you were crazy back in the 60s, they're like, that guy's crazy. Electrocute him till he's not crazy anymore. That was science. That's what they had. So now we give a shit about people's mental health, which is a good thing. But like everything we do, we overcorrect because now everybody has a mental health problem because everybody also has Google. So they can just Google the symptoms and go, yep, I'll be that one. And time to be weird at parties. Right? Because people are just using it to justify their shitty behavior. Not everybody has a mental health issue. There are still just assholes out there. Right? You can't use it to justify your shitty behavior. Just like, I'm neurodivergent. Cool. It's still your turn to buy a round, man. you were supposed to pick me up at the airport. Well, on my ADHD. Like, no. Write it the fuck down. You know you have the thing. It's not my job to fucking fix the thing for you. And the big one that everybody says they have is anxiety. Right? Everybody says they have anxiety. Everybody's got anxiety. You know why? Because everybody has anxiety. Because we're fleshy meat sacks that evolved from apes in a world of nuclear weapons and flying projectiles. It's fucking tense. If you're not anxious, you're not paying attention. At least we used to have anxiety about real things. Right? Like, I have anxiety. The winter's coming. Half my tribe is going to die. Now it's like, I have anxiety. I didn't get enough likes on my brave bikini photo. And then people started getting emotional support dogs. I never understood this concept. Somebody's like, oh, I got an emotional support dog. Oh, what does he do? Oh, he makes me feel good. Oh, so a dog. You got a dog. There's way too many syllables there to tell me you got a dog. That's what dogs do. They're supposed to make you feel good. Does anybody have a dog that makes them sad? Like, my dog, he bums me out. He's a Hamas supporter. Not Palestine, Hamas. It's fucked up. I have a dog. It's the cutest dog in the world. It's a half Corgi, half Jack Russell Terrier. Goddamn adorable. Every morning, I wake up, he jumps in the bed, he looks me dead in the eyes, and he's like, you and me, man! You and fucking me! Every goddamn day! I feel very emotionally supported. I didn't need to buy him a vest. So I could bring him into the grocery store like a cunt. But then people started going nuts with emotional support animals in general, it wasn't just dogs. Especially on the planes, people started wanting to bring their emotional support animals onto the planes. And it was fine when it was dogs, I think. I think a lot of people would let that slide, but then people started wanting to bring snakes and shit. And they're like, no, that's where we draw the line. You're not allowed to bring the name of a movie onto the plane. I read an article where somebody wanted to bring an emotional support owl onto an airplane. An owl, I get it. Flying is stressful. Everybody hates flying, right? Flying sucks from beginning to end. The entire process, no one enjoys it. If you're flying somewhere, you have to wake up at 5 in the morning. Doesn't matter what time of day your flight is. If you don't wake up at 5, you miss your flight. Those are the rules. Then when you get to the airport, nobody works for airlines anymore. It's just a sea of kiosks. You gotta punch all the buttons in, put your passport in at the dumbest level they could find. So guys on a camera somewhere could be like, look at that fucking idiot. Look at him, he's trying to bend down. He doesn't know how to bend. Then all your shit gets spit out. You gotta deal with it. You gotta peel your own baggage tag sticker off, which doesn't sound like that much of a challenge, but the arrows on the sticker look like they point both ways somehow. So you're fumbling around with it, then all of a sudden a flight attendant comes out of nowhere already mad at you, like, give it to me, you piece of shit. And then she just walks away, like, I'm sorry you had to work today, ma'am. Then you have to go through security. Security's just a metal detector. It's all it's ever been, and there are still people who do not understand it. Have you ever been behind somebody at security? They have to go through like 6 times. Finally, the guy's like, do you have any metal in your pockets? Like, oh, my keys. Oh, well, are they metal keys or are they wooden keys that you use to open an enchanted oak tree, you fuck? You're holding up the world. There are so many people behind you. Then you have to find your gate. I have not gotten a boarding pass in the last 5 years that has given me a gate number right away. It's just always blank. They're like, man, we told you we're not here to help. Check all the gates. One of the gates will be your gate. Then you get to the gate and realize you don't have a seat number. So then you got to go up to the little desk with the angry people at it. Right? Just like, yeah, I just realized I don't have a seat. Yeah, it's because you didn't pay for a seat. Oh, well, I paid for a ticket. Yeah, but that's not a seat. Oh, well, fuck me. I thought it was implied I might want to sit down up there. What deck of the Titanic am I on? Then your gate gets changed, your flight gets delayed, your flight gets canceled, you finally land in the new airport you were trying to get to. You got to figure out that confusing maze of an airport in a whole new city. Whole process, stressful from beginning to end. What part in any of that list of shit I just said do you think gets any easier by throwing a fucking owl into the equation? What part of that do you want a little owl hopping next to you like, oh, I find when I'm stressed out, I really like to wrangle a bird of prey. I don't know if you guys read this. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but they've been doing some polling. And they've collected some data, and they found out that 20% of Gen Z now identifies as being part of the LGBTQIA plus community. 20%. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's a big jump. That's 1 in 5. And I think the reason why that's the case is because of all those letters I just said. If we keep adding letters, we will all be it. They even put a plus at the end, like, to be continued. It sounds like a threat. Like there's roving gangs of LGBTQ people out there like, what are you into? Sometimes I jerk off with my left hand. That's a letter. You're a letter now. And some of the letters don't belong. I'm just going to go out there and say it. Some of them don't belong. You're padding your stats. The A's. The A's do not belong. A stands for asexual. What does this group of non-fuckers have to do with this group of fuckers? You can't lump the non-fuckers in with the fuckers. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Asexual, that's not even a good diversity hire for your office. Like, this is Deborah. She doesn't fuck. Okay. Can she use Excel or... You know, we didn't ask. But if you see her fucking, she's gone. We all got the L's and the G's. Same-sex attracted. It took us longer than it should have, I will admit that. But we all got there eventually. Then B's came out, bisexuals. And even when the B's came out, even gay people were like, liars. They didn't buy it. Now there's Q. You can identify as Q. Q stands for 2 different things. It stands for queer or questioning. I will address each separately. I'll start with questioning. Questioning is not an identity. You can't identify as I don't know. I just said a bunch of letters. Pick one and get back to us, all right? Then Q, you can identify as queer. When I was growing up, you didn't get to identify as queer. Someone identified you as queer because of how you ran in gym class or whatever. And that was it. That was all you got. You didn't get a flag. You got a note to get out of gym class. And I think the thing that's annoying about it is that there's no barrier for entry anymore. They just keep adding letters and everybody can just say they're part of it. You don't have to do anything to prove it, right? If every time you wanted to identify as being part of that group, they're like, all right, eat this ass, I think you'd see those numbers plummet. I don't want it anymore. Eat it, Tristan. Eat it or we're taking all the likes on Facebook away, you little fuck. You won't be brave, Tristan. And I think my problem with it is, you can't just identify by what you jerk off to. Put in the goddamn work. Suck a dick, eat a pussy, or drive a Kia Sorento like the rest of us. One thing people say about comedy right now is that you can't make jokes about anything because everybody gets offended all the time. And I just want to say, yes, fuck them, yes. I agree. But what I want to say is that people don't actually get offended that much in live comedy. The only people who get offended are online, right? And the best thing about those people is you can just ignore them. They don't matter. You will never run into one in the wild. Right? I mean, in real time, nobody gets offended. Maybe somebody did. Maybe somebody was offended by a joke that you heard here tonight. What's great is that you handled it like adults. You kept your fucking mouth shut. That's how adults handle jokes they don't like. Keep your mouth shut, then tomorrow morning at breakfast you could be like, I did not care for that comedian last night. Because people do love to get offended online. People love to get offended online. And not just by jokes, by anything, especially when companies or corporations do something that pisses them off. Because they know companies and corporations will respond if enough people pile on it because they're trying to sell shit. So they're going to, like, if you get enough voices, you hashtag it enough, they'll come in. So I've seen this happen with companies. Burger King stepped in shit a little while ago. They were coming out with a new burger that they were promoting, and it was called the Asian Burger. And they did a commercial for the Asian Burger, and I can already feel people like, okay, what was it though? It's all right, it wasn't crazy. It wasn't like a bunch of burgers flying into Pearl Harbor or something, you know? They put out a commercial for the Asian Burger, and the commercial for the Asian Burger was a bunch of people trying to eat the Asian Burger with chopsticks. And people are like, that's offensive. Why? I mean, it's dumb, but it's not offensive. It's just so stupid to get mad about it, but enough people piled on, and then Burger King had to go into apology mode, right? They're like, we're so sorry. We did not mean to offend everybody with our offensive commercial. We're so sorry. We're very, very, very sorry. And everybody was just like, well, that's not good enough. Well, of course it's not good enough. It's an empty apology from a PR company. Did you think you were going to get apologized to by the Burger King? Did you think he was going to walk out onto the balcony with his big dumb head like, I'm so sorry, I did not mean to offend you with my commercial. You should have seen the Pearl Harbor one. It was fucking nuts. We didn't do that one, though. Sorry. And the thing is when people are offended by shit now, it has to go away. They can't just let it be. It has to go away. There's people who want to get rid of the cartoon Beauty and the Beast. And the reason why they want to get rid of the cartoon Beauty and the Beast is because they say that it promotes abusive, toxic relationships. And the reason why they say that is because they say that the Beauty didn't want to be with the Beast, but then the Beast held her captive until eventually she fell in love with him. And that's an abusive relationship right there. And the people who believe that will look you in the eyes and say all of that shit and never address the fact that the people they are talking about are drawn. They're not real, man. Stop talking about them like they're people you know. It's weird. And I just want to say, if you're one of those people who thinks that we need to get rid of the cartoon Beauty and the Beast to protect the kids, I would just say this: stop putting your cynical adult lenses onto your little kids' eyes, because they are not watching Beauty and the Beast the same way you are as a jaded, fucked up adult. If you ask your kid what they remember the most about Beauty and the Beast, they're going to be like, oh, I don't know, the candlestick guy. At no point in time will they ever come up with the forced confinement. I was sitting here in my pajamas, eating cereal. That shit came out of nowhere. How about a little warning next time, Mom? I need to calm down. Where's my owl? All right, so instead of more jokes that separate us, I will try to end with something that brings us all together, a topic that I think we can all agree on: religion. And then I'll get out of your hair, all right? I don't know if there's any religious people here, and I don't give a shit. And I don't mean that in a combative way. I don't care what people believe. You can believe whatever you want. Just keep it away from me. The only time I have a problem with religion is when it starts to fuck around with society and progress, right? And it does that with things like stem cells, different shit, right? And there are still people who don't believe in evolution. That's crazy to me. And those are the ones that are homeschooled. And they don't believe in evolution. They believe in the Bible, but then they wanted to. There was this big thing where they wanted to try to teach the Bible alongside evolution as another theory, but they couldn't do that because you can't teach the Bible. So they came up with a new name for it to make it sound like it was academic-y. And they started calling it intelligent design. It's basically the Bible story, but it's intelligent design. God designed us all intelligently. And I can't get behind that. When people say that human beings were designed intelligently, I'm like, really? Have you ever been to a Walmart? Have you ever walked around a Walmart and thought, oh, here's a building full of people with excellent schematics? Just a building full of people who get lamps from the same place they get food. Just lamps and food, one-stop shop. Light my house, feed my belly, all right here. Oh, tires. Tires to Doritos, lamps and food. I actually tried to think of examples that would prove that we were intelligently designed. I couldn't come up with one. I came up with a bunch of examples that prove that we are not. And the best example I could come up with that proves that we are not intelligently designed is that we urinate from the same part of our body we use to procreate. And that is a massive oversight. That should have never left the factory room floor without at least one guy going, whoa, 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 whoa. They piss from the same place they fuck? Are you sure? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, I understand, Greg, it's almost lunchtime and you don't want to deal with this shit. But I got 1 million of these piss fuckers back here. I'm not just going to ship them out without asking a couple of questions, all right, Greg? Doesn't sound like the work of an intelligent designer, does it? It sounds like the work of a stressed out guy who wanted to call it a day. Picture God at the end of a long boardroom table. He's got blueprints strewn all over the place, empty Chinese food containers tipped over. He's got his head in his hands. He's like, you know what? Let them piss from the same place they fuck. I don't even care anymore, okay? We've been banging our heads against the wall all week on this. I got a tea time tomorrow. Let's fucking go. I'm not going to give them another hole to piss from. I gave them another hole they're not supposed to fuck, and they try to fuck that anyway. Every hole I give them, they're going to try to shove a dick in it. It's a waste of my time, guys. I created a sunset, motherfuckers. I'm not punching any more fuckholes in apes. We are not intelligently designed, and if we were, I could do it better. I'm not an omnipotent being. I'm not even heavily educated. But you give me an hour, I can design it better just by fixing God's mistakes. It's not that hard. I'm going to design people for the very first time again. The first thing I'm going to do, make us all the same color. Because apparently, when we're different colors, we can't process the goddamn information. So I'm going all one color. Haven't picked one yet. I'm thinking whatever the hell Hawaiians are. They seem like nice people. They give you flowers at the airport. We're going Hawaiians. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all the superstitious shit that held us back for so many years. All the burnings of witches and virgin sacrificing. How we land on that as a society that was going to work? Like, just, dude, you don't need to shove a chick into a volcano for your wheat harvest. Just water the wheat, man. Water it. And the last thing that I'm going to do, that I'm going to make it clear, I'm going to put it in every religious text because every one seems to include something about it. I'm just going to put it right in there. Just leave gay people alone. It's simple. It would stop so many problems if we just had that in there. Just leave gay people alone. If you don't like gay people, just stop thinking about them. And if you can't stop thinking about them, you're fucking gay. Guys, thank you so much for coming out to the show tonight. You guys were awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. You guys have been great. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.